Hello friends, welcome to English Minds. Today we embark on an insightful journey into the world of William Wordsworth, the pioneer of Romanticism and the poet of nature. If you preparing for TGT, PGT, UGC NET and other state competitive exams, this series is your ultimate guide. We have meticulously compiled 500 most important questions covering Wordsworth's life, works, themes, poetic style, and literary contributions, ensuring a 100% exam oriented approach from lyrical ballads to the Prelude, from Tintern Abbey to Lucy poems. We have no stone unturned. So stay tuned, take notes, and let's master Wordsworth like never before. Let's begin. My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky. Option B. My heart leaps up. My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in sky. This poem, also known as the Rainbow, was written by William Wordsworth in 1802. It is a short lyrical poem that expresses the poet's joy at the sight of a rainbow and his deep connection with nature from childhood to old age. The famous line from this poem, the child is the father of man. The child is the father of man, emphasizes the the continuity of human experiences and the impact of childhood impressions on adulthood. Wordsworth highlights nature's eternal body and its role in shaping human emotions, and I could wish my days to be bound each to each by natural pity. For oft when on my couch I lie in vacant or in pensive mood. Option B. Daffodils. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. The famous lyrical poems was written in 1804 and published in 1807. It describes that the poet's joyful recollection of a field on golden daffodils that he once saw near Ullswater Lake in the Lake District. The poem follows a four stanza structure with a simple yet musical rhythm. The given line refers to the poet's spontaneous overflow of emotion, where he recalls the beauty of the daffodils in moments of solitude. Wordsworth's philosophy of of nature is central to this poem, emphasizing how natural beauty can bring spiritual enlightenment and joy. And last line, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Nature never did betray the heart that loved her. Option B. 5 years have passed, 5 summers, with the length of 5 long winters. Line composed a Miles Tintin above Tintin Abbey, commonly known as Tintin Abbey, was written in 1798. and included in lyrical ballads. This poem marks Wordsworth's return to the banks of river Wye after 5 years and reflect his evolving relationship with nature. The given line expresses Wordsworth's deep trust in nature, highlighting his belief that nature provides peace, wisdom, and moral guidance to those who love it. The poem transitions from childish admiration of nature to a more philosophical and spiritual understanding of its role in human life. Ending line, nor wilt thou then forget that after many wanderings, many years of absence, these steep woods and lofty cliffs and this green pastoral landscape were to me more dear, both of themselves and for thy sake. One impulse from a vernal wood may teach you more of man. Option B. The table turned. Up, my friend, and quit your books, or surely you will grow double. The Table Turn is an argumentative lyrical poem, part of the Lyrical Ballads collection 1798. In this poem, Wordsworth encourages the reader to embrace nature rather than rely solely on bookish knowledge. The given line conveys Wordsworth's romantic belief that nature is the best teacher and can offer wisdom beyond human intellect and academic learning. He contrasts book learning with experimental learning from the natural world, reinforcing the core ideals of romantic poetry. Ending line, come forth into the light of things, let nature be your teacher. Sweet is the lore which nature brings. Option B. The table turned. The Table Turn is a didactic poem from Lyrical Ballads 1798. Wordsworth urges the reader to abandon bookish knowledge and embrace nature as a true teacher. The given lines suggest that knowledge provided by nature is pure, joyful, and enlightening, unlike the dull and repetitive nature of academic study. The poem is a manifestation of Wordsworth's romantic philosophy, emphasizing intuition and experimental learning over rigid intellectualism. Come forth into the light of things, let nature be your teacher. Getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Option A. The world is too much with us. The world is too much with us, late and soon, getting and we lay waste our powers. The poem is a sonnet written in 1802, criticizing the materialism of the industrial age. The given line highlights how people are consumed by worldly pursuit, earning and spending money, and in doing so lost their connection with nature. Wordsworth mourns the fact of modern man and forsaken nature's beauty in pursuit of material wealth. He even expresses a desire to be a pagan, as ancient belief were more in tune with nature. Great God, I had rather be a pagan, suckled in a creed outworn, thou unassuming commonplace of nature. Option A, to the cuckoo. O blithe never newcomer. O blithe newcomer. I have heard, I hear thee and rejoice. To the Cuckoo is a lyrical poem in which Wordsworth expresses his joy upon hearing to the call of the cuckoo bird. This given line suggests that the cuckoo is a simple yet magical presence in nature. The poem explores themes and childhood nostalgia and the mystical aspects of nature. The bird is symbolic of imagination, freedom, and the power of memories. Ending line thrice welcome, darling of the spring, even yet thou art to me no bird, but an invisible thing, a voice, a misery. What though the radiance which was once so bright be now forever taken from my sight? Option A, Ode Intimations of Immortality. There was a time when meadow, grove, and stream, the earth, and every common sight to me did seem apparelled and celestial light. Ode Intimations of Immortality is a philosophical poem written in 1804, reflecting on the loss of childhood innocence and spiritual wisdom. The given line mourns the loss of youthful vision, acknowledging that as we age, the world loses its magical and divine glow. Wordsworth's theory of pre-existence suggests that children come from a divine realm and gradually lose their celestial connection as they grow older. Despite his loss, Wordsworth finds comfort in nature and memory. To me, the meanest flower that blow can give thoughts that do often lie too deep for tears. This is last line. And then my heart with pleasures fill and dances with the daffodils. Option B is correct answer. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. Daffodils, known also known as I wandered lonely as a cloud, is one of Wordsworth's most famous nature poems. The given line conveys the poem's central themes, the power of memory and nature to bring joy even in solitude. Wordsworth recalls seeing a field of golden daffodils and describes how the memory of the flowers continues to uplift his spring spirit long after the moment has passed. The poem is a classic example of romantic poetry, emphasizing emotions imagination, and personal connection with nature. And the last line, and then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Nature is as a spiritual guide. Wordsworth sees nature as a teacher guiding human emotions and moral values. His poems emphasizing imagination, childhood, nostalgia, and loss of innocence. The world is too much with us critiques, industrialization, and the material good greed. Poem like Daffodils highlights how memories of nature brings lasting joy. Intimations of Immortality explores the soul, divine origin, and childhood innocence. So option B is correct answer. The best portion of a god man's good man's life. His title, nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and of love. Option B, Tintin Abbey. These lines composed lines composed a few miles above Tintin Abbey, commonly known as a Tintin Abbey, was written in 1798 during Wordsworth's second visit to the Wye Valley. The poem reflects on memory, nature, and passage of time. The given line highlights the idea that small, selfless act of kindness define the true essence of a good life. Wordsworth conveys that the quiet impact of good deeds goes beyond mere recognition, and it is the foundation of human virtue. Nor wilt thou then forget that after many wanderings, many years of absence, these steep woods and lofty cliffs and their green pastoral landscape were to me more dear, both for themselves and for thy sake. A creature not too bright or good for human nature's daily food. Option B. She was a phantom of delight. She saw a phantom of delight when first she gleamed upon my sight. She was a phantom of delight. It's a romantic lyric poem written in 1804 about Wordsworth's wife Mary Hutchinson. The poem idealizes female beauty and grace, but the given line suggests that the subject is not a divine being but a woman of real human qualities. Wordsworth presents a three-phase view of a woman as a mysterious vision, phantom of delight, a practical partner, and an angelic figure. A perfect woman, nobly planned, to warm, to comfort, to command, and yet a spirit still and bright with something on angelic light. I have ever felt a presence that disturbed me with the joy or of elevated thoughts. Option C, Tintin Abbey. The given line is the part of Tintin Abbey and refers to the spiritual presence in nature that influences Wordsworth thought. Wordsworth described nature as a source of divine inspiration, shaping his moral and intellectual growth. He emphasized the sublime power of nature, which elevates the human spirit beyond material concerns. There is a pleasure in poetic pains which only poets know. Option B. Resolution and independence. There was a roaring in the wind all night. The rain came heavily and fell in floods. Resolution and Independence 1802 is a lyrical and philosophical poem that depicts Wordsworth's encounter with an old leech gatherer. The given line suggests that poetry involves deep emotions and struggles which only poets truly understand. The poem highlights Wordsworth's self doubt and the importance of resilience in the face of hardship. God, I said I, be my help and stay secure. I will think of the leech gatherer on the lonely moor. A youth to whom was given so much of earth, so much of heaven. Option A, the prelude. Oh, there is a blessing in this gentle breeze that blow from the green fields and from the clouds. The Prelude is an autobiographical epic poem that narrates Wordsworth's personal and poetic development. The given line describes the balance between the earthly and the divine is in a young poet's life. Wordsworth portrays youth as a time of wonder and idealism, where one is deeply connected with nature and the sublime. Last line, prophets of nature, we to them will speak a lasting inspiration, sanctified by reason, blessed by faith. What we have loved, others will love, and we will teach them how. Wordsworth's deep connection with nature, his poetry emphasizes the spiritual and moral impact of nature. The poet explores personal emotions, memory, and the development of self awareness. Tintin Abbey, the prelude, reflects on the passage of time and human consciousness. Resolution and independence teach the importance of perseverance. Romantic vision of love and beauty. She was a phantom of delight portrays the idealized yet realistic image of love. Whose dwelling is the light of setting suns. Option D. Odd intimations of immortality. There was a time when meadow, grove, and stream, the earth and every common sight, to me did seem apparel, the celestial light. Odd intimations of immortality from recollection of early childhood was composed in 1804 and published in 1807. The given line refers to a divine eternal presence in nature that remains even when the freshness of childhood perception fades. The poem reflects Wordsworth's belief that the soul is immortal and retains memories of a divine existence before birth. Ending line, to me the meanest flower that blows can give thoughts that do often lie too deep for tears. Plain living and high thinking are no more. Option C. The world is too much with us. The world is too much with us, late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. This sonnet, written in 1802, critiques the materialism of the industrial age. The line laments that society has abandoned simplicity and intellectual depth in favor of material wealth. Wordsworth contrasts the spiritual loss of modern society with the reverence for nature found in ancient times. Great God, I had rather be a pagan suckled in a Crete outworm. No motion has see now, no force, see, neither hears nor sees. Option B, a slumber did my spirit seal. A slumber did my spirit seal. I had no human fears. A slumber did my spirit seal. 1798 is one of Wordsworth's Lucy poems reflecting on death and immortality. The given lines describe how Lucy, once full of life, has become part of the eternal cycle of nature. The poem conveys a calm acceptance of death, and Lucy is now beyond that reach of time and decay. Rolled round in earth's diurnal course, with rocks and stones and trees, something that cannot die, that thought is mine. Option D, Laodamia, with sacrifice before the rising morn, performed by promised duty, Dali was fulfilled. Laodamia is a narrative poem based on the Greek myth of Laodamia and Protesilaus. The poem explores the themes of love, loss, and longing for immortality. The given line reflects Laodamia's belief in a love and transcendence death. Even Protesilaus, her husband, had died in the Trojan War. Learned by a mortal yearning to ascend, seeking a higher object. In that sweet mood, with pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to the mind. Option A, Tintin Abbey. 5 years have passed, 5 summers, and with the length of 5 long winters. This line expresses Wordsworth's idea that joy and nostalgia often come with a touch of sadness. In Tintin Abbey, the poet revisits the Wye Valley and reflects on the passage of time and the change in the perception of nature. The poem explores memory, nature influences, and the contrast between youthful exuberance and mature reflections. Not in entire forgetfulness and not in utter nakedness. Option B, Old Intimations of Immortality. There was a time when meadow, grove, and stream, the earth and every common sight, to me did seem apparelled and celestial light. This line suggests that the soul retains some memory of its divine origin even after birth. Wordsworth presents the idea that childhood is a period of spiritual clarity, and as people grow, they lose touch with their celestial origins. The poet reflects Platonism, where pre-existence and the soul's journey are central ideas. Option A, Tintin Abbey. Option B, odd intimacies of immortality. She lived unknown, and few could know when Lucy ceased to be. Option C. She dwelt among the untrodden ways. The poem belongs to the Lucy series, a group of poems dedicated to an unknown girl named Lucy. The poet reflects Wordsworth's admiration for unnoticed beauty and his melancholic acceptance of mortality. Lucy is portrayed as a solitary and dedicated presence whose life and death pass almost unnoticed. But she is in her grave, and oh, the difference to me. Nor shall she hear the voice of morning. Option C. A slumber did my spirit seal. This poem, part of Lucy series, portrays Lucy as someone who has become one with nature after death. The line indicates that she is beyond the reach of human suffering and sorrow. Wordsworth's philosophy of death as a return to nature is central to the poem. There was a roaring in the wind all night. Option B, the prelude. This line comes from the prelude, an autobiographical poem in blank verse. The poem described a stormy night which symbolized both natural power and personal turmoil. Wordsworth often uses nature as a metaphor of inner experiences, and destroying wind signifies his restless thoughts and emotions. We may find some solace and in our being immortality, but that he was a man who could direct himself. Option A, resolution and independence. The poem narrates the encounter between the poet and the old leech gatherer, a man who survives by collecting medicinal leeches. The line suggests the self reliance and inner strength of the old man, which Wordsworth contrasts with his own depths and anxieties. The poem reflects romantic ideals and resilience, independence, and the wisdom of simple folk. I could have loved myself to scorn to find in that descript man so firm and mind. Love, faithful love, recalled thee to my mind. Option C, Laudamia. Laudamia is a narrative poem that explores love, loss, and fate. Love, loss, and fate. The poem is based on Greek mythology, focusing on Laodamia and her husband Protesilaus, who died in the Trojan War. The line conveys the power of memory and love, which can summon even the dead to mind. She seemed a voice so thrilling never was heard in springtime from the cuckoo bird. Option C, to the cuckoo. This poem celebrates the cuckoo as a symbol of joy and childhood memories. Wordsworth expresses his deep emotional connection with nature and its ability to evoke memories of youth. The line compares the cuckoo voice to something more enchanting and rare than any other sound in nature. But trailing clouds of glory, do we come from God, who is our home? Option C, old intimations of immortality. These lines reflects Wordsworth's belief in the pre-existence of the soul. He suggests that children retain a divine connection with heaven, but as they grow, this connection fades. The poem aligns with Plato's theory of reminiscent science, which suggests that soul comes from a higher divine realm. The eye it cannot choose but see. We cannot bid the ear be still. Option C, the table turned. The poem is a call to abandon bookish learning to and embrace nature as the true source of wisdom. Wordsworth argues that we naturally absorb knowledge from our surroundings, whether we intend to or not. The line suggests that our senses are always active and nature constantly educates with us. The flower of sweetest smell, that is sigh and lowly. Option A, the excursion. The excursion is a philosophical poem exploring themes of nature, mortality, and human experiences. This line suggests that true beauty and virtue are often humble and unassuming, much like delicate flowers. Wordsworth uses nature as a metaphor for human character, emphasizing that modesty and humility enhance a person's value. A beauty, not a phantom of delight, a man whom no one could have passed without a moment's perfect tribute of regard. That best portion of a good man's life. Option B, Tintin Abbey. 5 years have passed, 5 summers, with the length of life, 5 long winters. And again I hear these waters rolling from their mountain springs with a sweet inland murmur. Tintin Abbey is a meditative poem reflecting on the influence of nature of human development. This line refers to small selfless act of kindness and love, which define the goodness of a person. Wordsworth believes nature shapes moral character, reinforcing his philosophy of nature as a moral guide. Me, this unchattered freedom tires, I have felt the weight of chance desires. Option D, Tintin Abbey. This line reflects Wordsworth's realization that absolute freedom can be exhausting. He longs the purpose and direction, recognition, and that uncontrolled desire and impulses can be burdensome. The poem captures the transition from youthful excitement to a more mature appreciation of nature's guiding force. There is something in a flying horse. There is something in a huge balloon. Option A. The Prelude. Oh, there is blessing in this gentle breeze that blows from the green fields and from the clouds and from the sky. It beats against my cheek. The Prelude is an autobiographical epic that traces Wordsworth's spiritual and intellectual growth. This line describes Wordsworth's childhood fascination with adventures and imagination. The reference to a flying horse and a balloon symbolize the youthful longing from escape and discovery. Ending line Prophets of nature, we to them we speak a lasting inspiration, sanctified by reason, blessed by faith, and we have loved others we will love, and we will teach them how. Our power in is passing from the earth to breathless nature's dark abyss. Option B. The world is too much with us. This poem is a critique of materialism and humanity disconnection from nature. The line suggests that as humans become consumed by industrialization and greed, they lose their spiritual connection with the natural world. Wordsworth laments the loss of nature, divine power in human consciousness. To me, the meanest flower that blows can give thoughts that do often lie too deep for tears. Option C. Ode intimations of immortality. This line emphasizes the profound emotional and spiritual connection Wordsworth finds in nature. Even the simplest flower evokes deep unspoken emotions that transcends human comprehensions. The poem expresses Wordsworth's belief in pre-existence and the idea that childhood memories retain glimpses of a divine world. Fair seed time had my soul, and I grew up fostered alike by beauty and by fear. Option A. The Prelude. On there is blessing in this gentle breeze. The Prelude is an autobiographical from tracing Wordsworth's spiritual development. This line reflects how Wordsworth's childhood was shaped by both the beauty and the sublime power of nature. Beauty and fear refers to nature's dual role as a source of inspiration and awe. Thanks to the human heart by which we live, thanks to its tenderness, its joy and fears. Option C. Ode intimations of immortality acknowledges the role of human emotions in shaping our experiences. Wordsworth expresses gratitude for the ability to feel deeply, recognizing that joy and sorrow enrich our lives. The poem explores the loss of childhood wonder, but also the gain of wisdom and adulthood. Therefore, I still a lover of the meadows and the woods. Option B. Tintin Abbey. Wordsworth reaffirms his lifelong love for nature despite the passage of time. The poem reflects his belief that nature remains a constant source of peace, wisdom, and moral guidance. This link, this line marks his transition from youthful excitement to a more reflective and spiritual appreciation of nature. With something of angelic light, option B, Old Intimations of Immortality. Wordsworth described the divine glow that surrounds childhood. He suggests that children retain a connection to the heavenly realm, which fades as they grow older. Angelic light symbolizes innocence, purity, and the spiritual presence in the natural world. Come forth into the light of things. Let nature be your teacher. Option B. The Table Turned. The Table Turned is a didactic poem emphasizing nature as a superior source of wisdom over books. Light of Things suggests awakening to the truths found in nature. Wordsworth urges the reader to learn from nature rather than really solely and academic acknowledge. Our birth is but a sleep and a forget. Option C. Old Intimations of Immortality. This line reflects Wordsworth's belief in the pre-existence of the soul. He suggests that human beings are born with memories and of a divine realm, but these fade over time. Getting and spending will waste our time, our powers. Option C. Wordsworth criticized the materialistic and industrialistic society of time. Lay waste our powers means the power squander their natural abilities by focusing on wealth and consumption. The poem calls for a return to nature and spiritual over materialism. Great God, I had rather be a pagan suckled in a cried out wall. Option D. The world is too much with us. Wordsworth laments the loss of spiritual connection with nature. He suggests that even ancient pagan belief, which revered nature, would be better than the materialistic modern world. The references to Proteus and Triton invokes classical mythology to contrast the lost reverence for nature in contemporary society. The child is father of man. Option C. My heart leaps up. Without Wordsworth believed in the continuity of human experiences from childhood to adulthood. It suggests that early experiences shape one's character and perception of the world. The poem emphasized the importance of preserving the sense of wonder and joy from childhood. O joy that in our embrace in something that doth live. Option B. Old intimations of immortality. Wordsworth believed the spiritual connection between childhood and adulthood. Embers symbolize the remnants of youthful joy and the divine light of childhood that continues to exist in adulthood. The poem reflects of the fading intensity of childhood wonder but suggests that traces of it remain within us. The nature that nature never did betray, that hurt, that loved her. Option B, Tintern Abbey. To me alone, there came a thought of grief. Option C, Odd Intimations of Immortality. This line signals a turning point in the poem where the poet realized that childhood joy and spiritual vision have faded. It marks the beginning of nostalgia and reflection on the lost connection with nature and divine beauty. The poem contrasts the innocence of childhood with the burdens of adulthood. And she shall lean her ear in many secret place. Option C, Ode to Duty. Ode to Duty is a moralistic and philosophical poem in which Wordsworth calls upon duty to guide human actions. Lean her ear symbolizes attentiveness to the voice of duty and righteousness. The poem advocates for a disciplined life over one guided by mere pleasure and impulse. The sightless Milton, Shakespeare on his bier. Option A, London 1802. London 1802 is a sonnet where Wordsworth laments the moral and cultural decline of England. He invokes the spirits of great past writers, Milton, Shakespeare, as beacons of moral and intellectual greatness. Slightness Milton refers to John Milton blindness but also symbolizes his moral and poetic vision. A voice so thrilling never was heard in springtime from the cuckoo bird. Option B. The Solitary Reaper. The Solitary Reaper, a poem where Wordsworth describes a Scottish maiden single while working in the fields. The speaker is deeply moved by her song, comparing it to a nightingale and cuckoo bird, both symbols of enchanting melodious. This poem explores themes of memory, music, and beauty of unknown. Behold her single in the field, yon solitary highland lost. The music in my heart I bore long after it was heard no more. The soul that rises with us, our life star, hath had elsewhere its setting. Option C, Odd Intimations of Immortality. This line reflects Wordsworth's belief in the pre-existence of the soul. He suggests that our souls existed in a divine realm before birth and earthly life dims that celestial origin. Loss of childhood innocence and connection with the divine as we grow older. There was a time when meadow grew and stream The earth and every common sight to me did seem apparelled in celestial light. This is opening lines and also ending lines. Thanks the human heart by which we live, thanks to its tenderness, its joy and fears. This is last line. Thou hadst left behind powers that will work for thee. Option D. Odd intimations of immortality. By night or day, the things which I have seen, I now can see no more. Option C. Odd intimations of immortality. Yet will love I love thee to the last. Option A. Michael. Michael is a pastoral narrative poem about an old shepherd's deep love for his son Luke. This line expresses a father's unwavering love even when his son leaves for the city and never returns. The poem is a tragic reflection of industrialization impact on rural life and family bonds. Opening line: if from a public way you turn your step up the tumultuous brook of green-head Gile and never lifted up a single stone. This is last line. Dear God, the very houses seem asleep. Option B. Composed upon Westminster Bridge. This line is from Composed upon Westminster Bridge, September 3 September and 1802, where Wordsworth marvels at the early morning beauty of London. Unlike the unusual chaotic city life, he describes a serene, almost divine tranquility in the city appearance. The poem captures a romantic admiration for both nature and human made beauty. The youth who daily further from the east must travel, still the nature priest. Option C. Old intimations of immortality. Nor shall she hear the murmuring wave upon her bosom rise and fall. Option C. Lucy Gray. Lucy Gray is a lyrical ballad about a little girl who perishes in a stone storm. The quoted line reflects the finale of death, emphasizing that Lucy, I will no longer hear or feel the natural world around her. Wordsworth blurs the lines between reality and myth as Lucy becomes an eternal figure in nature. But yet I know wherever I go, there hath passed away a glory from the earth. Option B. Odd intimations of immortality. This line expresses Wordsworth's sorrow over the loss of childhood divine vision. He acknowledges that something beautiful and spiritual has faded from his perception as he has grown older. However, he also emphasizes that the memory of influences and the lost vision still remain. Thou dost preserve that stars from wrong. Option C. Ode to Duty. Ode to Duty is a poem where Wordsworth praises, praises duty as a moral guide, similar to how nature maintains order. The quote suggests that duty, like a divine force, preserves the balance of the universe, ensuring harmony and righteousness. The poem reflects Wordsworth's philosophical transition from emotional spontaneity to a more structured moral responsibilities. And homeless near 1,000 home, I stood. Option C. Guilt and Sorrow. Guilt and Sorrow is an early poem by Wordsworth reflecting his deep sympathy from human suffering, especially the soldiers and the displaced. The quoted line expresses a poignant contrast between abundance and deprivation, emphasizing the tragedy of being surrounded by home yet remaining homeless. Heaven lies about us in our infancy. Option C. Odd intimations of immortality. Then did the little maid reply, Seven boys and girl are we. Option B. We are seven. This poem presents a dialogue between a child and an adult about death. The child insists that her deceased sibling still count as part of the family, showcasing a child's innocent and spiritual perception of death. Wordsworth emphasizes the contrast between adult logic and child logic, simple yet profound, understanding the life and the death. Opening line: A simple child, dear brother Jim, that lightly draws in its breath. Ending: Then did the little maid reply, Seven boys and girls are we. The sweetest thing that ever grew beside a human door. Option D. Lucy Gray. While with an eye made I quite by the power of harmony and the deep power of joy. Option C. Tintin Abbey. Nature never did betray. That heart loved her. Option C. Tintin Abbey. Thou dost preserve that star from wrong. Option C. Ode to Duty. Ode to Duty is a poem where Wordsworth praises duty as a guiding force of human life. Wordsworth suggests that duty ensures order and harmony in the universe just as it governs human morality. The reference to stars emphasizes the divine and universal nature of duty. Stern daughter of the voice of God, O duty, if that name thou love, yet I will love thee to be the lost. Earth has not anything to show more fear. Option B. Composed upon Westminster Bridge. Wordsworth, a poet deeply associated with nature, expresses surprise at the city tranquility and beauty on in the morning light. The budding twigs spread out their fan to catch the breezy air. Option B. The Prelude. Joy is the sweet voice. Joy, the luminous cloud. Option B. Old intimations of immortality. Where Wordsworth explores the idea that childhood divine joys fade as one grows older. The poem suggests that the joy experienced in childhood is linked to a pre-existence spiritual world. Wordsworth mourns the loss of his pure vision but finds consolation in memory and nature beauty. The city now doth, like a garment, wear the beauty of the morning. Option A. Composed upon a Westminster bridge. There is a comfort in the strength of love. 'Twill make a thing endurable, which else would overset the brain or break the heart. Option C. Michael. Wordsworth depict Michael's deep attachment to his land and family, highlighting themes of sacrifice and endurance. O friend, I know not which way I must look for comfort. Option B. London 1802. She was a phantom of delight when first she gleamed upon my sight. Option C. She was a phantom of delight. A poem celebrating Wordsworth's wife Mary Hutchinson. It portrays her as a vision of ideal beauty, transforming from the eternal present to a real, loving partner. The poem reflects Wordsworth's romantic fascination with beauty, love, and domestic happiness. O pleasant exercise of hope and joy, for mighty were the auxiliaries. Option D. Resolution and independence. Resolution and Independence is a lyrical poem inspired by Wordsworth's encounter with an old lead gatherer. The pleasant exercise of hope and joy refers to the poet's realization that reliance and wisdom come from hardship. The poem explores themes and perseverance and learning from nature's simplicity. Dear child, dear girl, that walkest with me here. Option D. Tintern Abbey. Dear child, dear girl refers to Wordsworth's sister Dorothy, whom he addresses while reflecting on the passage of time. The poem explores memory, nature, and personal growth, emphasizing how our perceptions change as we age. And all which I beheld resembled nothing that I had seen before. Option A. The Prelude. This line is from the Prelude, Wordsworth's autobiographical epic in blank verse. It describes his experiences of sublime awe and wonder while encountering the grandeur of nature. The poem captures the romantic idea that nature can be overwhelming and transformative, shaping human emotions and intellect. He murmurs, he murmurs, near the running brooks, music sweeter than their own. Option B, The Excursion. The Excursion is a philosophical poem that explored the interplay between nature, humanity, and faith. He, in this line, likely refers to a wise contemplative figure or a personified aspect of nature. The poem reflects Wordsworth's belief in nature power to inspire and educate of human spirit. I see, not feel, how beautiful they are. Option C, Ode intimations of immortality. A mind forever voying through strange seas for of thought alone. Option B, The Prelude. Strange seas of thought represent intellectual exploration and the pursuit of knowledge. Wordsworth admired Newton's relentless quest for understanding, paralleling it his own poetic journey. She lived unknown, and few could know when Lucy ceased to be. Option C. She dwelt among the untrodden ways. The poem laments the death of Lucy, a mysterious figure who represents simplicity, beauty, and solitude. This line reflects the theme of unnoticed beauty and the inevitability of death. Oft on a plot of rising ground, I hear the far off curfew sound. Option D. Resolution and independence. The curfew sound symbolizes the passage of time and the poet's reflective mood. And this green pastoral landscape were to me more dear, both from themselves and for thy sake. Option A. Tintern Abbey. Wordsworth expresses his deep emotional connection to nature, seeing it as both a personal refuge and something to be shared with his sister Dorothy. The poem discusses how memory is nature sustain the human soul over time. And homeless near a thousand home. I stood and near a thousand tables, pinned and wanted food. Option B, guilt and sorrow. Guilt and Sorrow is an early unfinished narrative poem by Wordsworth. It tells the story of destitute soldier, one soldier wandering through a cruel and indifferent world. The poem highlights social injustice, poverty, and human suffering, contrasting the abundance of other with the narrator's own deprivation. Opening lines: a traveler on the lonely moor, I roam without a home, nor health, nor wealth, nor fame. Last line: thus the long night I silent lay, and ere the morning light was far away. Bright flower, whose home is everywhere. Option D. To the daisy. Option D. Option D. To the Daisy is one of Wordsworth's many nature poems, celebrating the simple beauty and resilience of a daisy. The daisy described on a wanderer symbolizes humanity, endurance, and omnipresence. The poem reflects romantic ideals in finding beauty and significance in common things. Opening lines: with little here to do or see of things that in the great world be daisy. Again I talk to thee, for thou art worthy. Last line: in youth from rock to rock, I went from hill to hill, in discontent of pleasure, high and turbulent, most pleased when most uneasy. A simple child that lightly draws its breath and feels its life and every limb. What should it know of death? Option A. We are seven. This line comes from Wordsworth's poem We Are Seven, which explores a child's innocent perception of death. The poem portrays a conversation between the poet and a little girl who insists that her deceased siblings are still part of her family. It reflects romantic theme of childhood innocence and spiritual connection to the dead. Behold the child among his newborn blisses, a 6-year darling and pygmy size. Option C. Odd intimations of immortality. Intimations of immortality, which explores the loss of childhood divine vision. Wordsworth described that his child as a pure heavenly being also who still carries a glow of the immortal soul before adulthood dims it. Thou little child, yet glorious in the might of human born freedom on thy being's height. Option B. Odd intimations of immortality. This line continues Wordsworth's themes of childhood divine origin in Odd Intimations of Immortality. The child is seen as celestial being connected to a higher spiritual existence before being shaped by the material world. This reflects of romantic belief that children are closer to nature and divine wisdom. Childhood and immortality, loss of innocence with age is the theme. She seemed a thing that could not feel the touch of earthly years. Option C. A slumber did my spirit seal. In this that sweet mood, when pleasant thought bring sad thought to the mind. Option C, Tintin Abbey. In which year was the centenary of William Wordsworth birth, birth celebrated? Option A, 1870. William Wordsworth was born in 1770 and his centenary 100th birth anniversary was celebrated in 1870. This event marked his enduring legacy in Romantic poetry and British literature. Where was a memorial erected in honor of William Wordsworth? Option A, Westminster Abbey. A memorial to William Wordsworth, who placed in Poets' Corner, Westminster Abbey, recognized his contribution to English poetry. Though Wordsworth was buried in St. Oswald Church, Grasmere, this memorial honors him among other literary greats. Who delivered a notable speech during Wordsworth's centenary celebration? Option C. Matthew Arnold. Which lake, which lake is closely associated with Wordsworth and has a commemorative plaque? Option C. Grasmere. In which year Wordsworth Trust founded to preserve his legacy? Option C. 1900. The Wordsworth Trust was established in 1900 to preserve his home Dove Cottage and his manuscripts. It maintains the Wordsworth Museum dedicated to his life and works. Which famous site is maintained as a tribute to Wordsworth's life and works? Option A. Dove Cottage. Dove Cottage, located in Grasmere Lake District, is one of the most famous sites associated with William Wordsworth. Wordsworth lived here from 1799 to 1808, and it was during this time that he wrote some of his greatest poems, including parts of the Prelude. Today, Dove Cottage is preserved as a museum by the Wordsworth Trust, showcasing manuscript, letter, and personal belonging of the poet. Which British Prime Minister praised Wordsworth during an official commemoration? Option A. William Gladstone. William Gladstone is four-time British Prime Minister. The four-time British Prime Minister praised Wordsworth's poetry for its moral and spiritual depth. He was a strong advocate of Wordsworthian philosophy, which emphasized morality and human dignity. Gladstone's tribute came during official literary celebration on the late 19th century, recognizing Wordsworth's lasting influence on English literature and national identity. Wordsworth was commemorated on a British postage stamp. In which year? Option C, 1982. In 1982, the Royal Mail issued a British postage stamp in honor of William Wordsworth, celebrating the 150th anniversary of his appointment as Poet Laureate 1832 to 1982. The stamp featured an image of Wordsworth along with the line of from his poetry, reflecting his status and the major romantic poet. The Wordsworth Museum is located in which town? Option A, Grasmere. The Wordsworth Museum is located in Grasmere near the Dove Cottage where Wordsworth lived. It houses and is an extensive collection of manuscripts, first edition letters and artifacts related to his life and poetry managed by the Wordsworth Trust. It serves as a major research and cultural center for romantic literatures. The annual literary event is held to honor Wordsworth's contribution to poetry. Option B, the Wordsworth Summer Conference. The Wordsworth Summer Conference is an annual event held in Grasmere to celebrate Wordsworth's poetry, philosophy, and romanticism. Scholars, poets, and literature enthusiasts gather to discuss his work, romantic literature, and related themes. It includes lectures, reading, and tours of Wordsworth related sites like the Cottage and Riddle Mount. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked this video. And this brings us to the end of our 500 most important questions on William Wordsworth. We have covered his life, works, themes, poetic style, and influence, ensuring you are fully prepared for UGC NET, TGT, PGT, and other competitive exams. Remember, Wordsworth's poetry is not just about nature, it's about life, emotions, and power of imagination. Keep revising, stay confident, and trust your preparation. If this series helped you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to English Minds. Let's continue the journey of mastering English literature together. All the best for your exams. Keep learning, keep growing. Thank you.